Hey, beautiful people. Welcome to my channel, Being a Carer with Kes. Recently, I was doing something, and something caught my eye because I'm quite fortunate, to have my office by the roadside. So I get to see a lot of things, if you know what I mean. Now, this scenario caught my eye, and I'm like, what on earth is this? Now, I saw this lady, driving with gloves on. You might be asking, how do you know rather that she's a healthcare worker? I do know because she was wearing the uniform. And there's a way they look, I'm sorry to say. Because like, could that be the glove she wore in a client's house that she's now using to drive? And because of the time of day, she's going to another client's house. Is she going to go with that glove, or those gloves rather, into another client's house? Or is she going to do the right thing and change it? Now, your guess is as good as mine. My name is Kesiena Akwara Ati, a health and social care trainer. To all of you, my old and new returning subscribers, you guys are just the best of the best. Okay? And I appreciate every single one of you. And to my lovely mentees, oh, you guys, you don't know just how much I appreciate you all. And I'll be in touch very soon. And hey, if you're just watching this channel for the first time, hello, what are you waiting for? Smash the subscribe button, yeah? Give me a thumbs up. Come on, like the video. And don't forget as well to click on that all-important notification bell. Trust me, by subscribing or liking to this channel, you will not regret it. So let's get straight into the crux of today's discussion, which is a healthcare worker, your position in the circle or chain of infection. Now, before I get into the nitty-gritty of this discussion, or this video rather, let me define rather what infection is. Now, infection is the invasion of the body by microorganisms. Now, the microorganisms that give up the diseases are called what? Pathogens. Now, these invade the body, yeah? They multiply, they release toxins, and then you have things happening to you as the person who is the host, like high temperature, vomiting, and diarrhea. Now, let's get back to the story of this lady. This is a healthcare worker, and I presume I am most definitely correct that she is a domiciliary sector. She has her gloves on, she's driving her car, and she's going to somebody else's house. Is this right by any means? The answer rather to that is no. When you give your client personal care, you take the pads. Now, this is something I say to every single person who comes through my training sessions. Please, for no reason should you leave their soiled pads with wee or poo in the house. It stinks the whole place out. Take it outside to the bin. When you do that, ideally, when you drop the the waste bag that carries the pad in the bin, you take your gloves off and you dump it in the bin as well and sanitize your hands. So are we saying that this lady took care of this person? Possibly she didn't give them personal care or anything, just their drugs or whatever. But is it right for her to wear those same gloves to drive, contaminating her car now, to go to somebody else's house? Now, what's the likelihood that she's going to take those gloves off and put on a fresh one? Your guess again is as good as mine. So what am I saying in this video? I am saying clearly that as healthcare workers, whether you are in a care home, a nursing home, a residential living home, or supported living home, or you're in the dorm sector, or you're in the hospital, please, we are not supposed to use the same gloves we use to give personal care to use for another person as well. We are not to use the same gloves that we use to give medication or whatever to prepare their food. And in any case, the gloves you use to make food is not the same one we use to do personal care. It's different. Now, I have been in this profession. Whenever I'm done, I don't care whether it's giving them personal care or giving them medication or changing them or whatever, I always change my gloves. I don't use gloves to make their food. No, I do not. If they have the specific glove for the kitchen in their kitchen and they want me to use it, I will use it. Now, the only time I will not use my hands to make their food is if I have an injury on my hand. Does that make sense, people? Now, let me explain to you how your position, or rather what your position is in the chain of infection. Now, the chain of infection is like a circle. Right at the top in the middle is infectious agents, which could be the fungi, the bacteria, or the virus. Now, each fungi, bacteria, or virus, they need a reservoir. And they find that in people, in food, and in water. Do you get my train of thought now? Now, how do they leave the infected person? Now, you might not be suffering from any kind of ailment or high temperature or whatever, because your immune system is still very good, but you are still a carrier. Now, they leave you via your excretions, which is when you pee or poo. They leave the infected person. Now, let me not say you, let's say the infected person now. But the excretions, pee and poo again, they leave via their secretions, sweat, tears, saliva. They also leave via their blood. All right? Now, how are they transmitted? Hands. This is where a carer, a healthcare worker comes in. Your hands. They also transfer by what? Airborne. They're airborne as well. So if you have taken care of a client, either in a care home or wherever, and you did not change your gloves, you did not dispose of your disposable aprons and your face mask, and you go to another person, what are you doing? You are transmitting the infection or the bacteria, if that makes any sense. Now, how does it get into your client now who has a low immune system? It gets to them via their respiratory tract, their digestive tract, and if they have any cut, wounds, or burns on their hands that hasn't healed, it gets through that as well. Now, who are those susceptible people who are also in the chain? You have the children under 5. You have pregnant women. You have the elderly. You have the wounded. And of course, we have those who have a low immune system. And most definitely, we have those who live in care homes, nursing homes, residential homes, hospitals. And of course, those people you look after in their own homes, they are also susceptible because they either have dementia, Alzheimer's, or something going on with them. And they do not want to go to care homes. Hence, they are in their houses. And what happens to that circle? It goes round and round and round. What are the best ways to prevent the spread of infection? Is you, the healthcare worker, doing what you ought to do, which is what? Wash your hands. I mean, it cannot be overemphasized. Wash your hands. It's one of the things you can do to prevent the spread of infection. Use your PPE. I've heard of carers or healthcare workers rather who use their bare hands to clean poo and pee. And I'm like, seriously? Come on. I've heard of carers as well who also use the hands they use to change their pads, to make their food. It is wrong. Because if they get an infection, who's going to deal with all that poo? You are. Nobody else. You are. So let's be wise about these things. Let's use our PPE. It's been provided for us by our companies. Let's use them. Let's wash our hands the way we ought to wash our hands. 1 glove per person. As for the lady who is driving with the gloves on to a client's house, I am hopeful that she did the right thing. Not just the right thing, but the sensible thing as well. Took the gloves off before she went into that person's house and put fresh ones on. So what am I saying here? What I'm saying here is that even if you are the carer, you are unwell, you have a bad cold, please stay where you are. Or if you have diarrhea, again, stay where you are. I am sure I must have mentioned at some point in one of my videos that if you got diarrhea, you shouldn't go to work for the next 48 hours until your diarrhea symptoms recede. Why? It is airborne. So if you've got diarrhea and you're going to work, your client is going to give you diarrhea back. And that is you clean a lot of poo. If you have a strong cold as well, don't. Because they can catch it. Why? It is airborne. So I hope this video has advised us. If you are guilty of any of this I've mentioned, please and please, I implore you, I plead on their behalf, please wash your hands. Change your gloves regularly. 1 glove per person. Does that make sense? So until I see you in my next video, always remember this. Never you forget that no matter what the matter is, you, my dears, you matter so much more. Au revoir.